Tonight on the Draft Beard podcast, we're going over my final safety rankings for the 2025 NFL Draft. Hey guys, I'm Joshua Klein. I am your host of the Draft Beard podcast. Welcome in tonight as we go and discuss our safety rankings in this year's draft. These are my final rankings. But before we get to my safety rankings, you guys could do me a favor. If you could like, subscribe, and share, I would really appreciate it. That helps people get this content who are interested in it. That helps my friends and family out be able to see my videos and stuff. So it helps the algorithm. So once again, if you could really do me a favor and like and subscribe and share, I would really appreciate it. Would really like to help out the channel and see this channel grow. So we're going to get to the safeties tonight. So our safety episode, we're going to be talking about my top 7 safeties. So going forward, as I do my rankings, I'm really only going to be ranking the players in the video that are day 1, day 2, maybe early day 3 picks. The safety class this year is not an overly deep class. There is a high-end talent there at the top. We'll probably get to him at the very end of the video. So tonight we're going to do 7 safeties. So those were the guys who I felt that could fit in day 1 or a day 2 grade. So we're going to get started with my number 7 safety, and that is Jonas Sanker, the safety out of the University of Virginia, 6'1", 206 pounds. He ran a 4.48 at the combine. He's a guy I really like. I thought maybe I might be a little bit higher on him, but some of the other players in front of him were just hard for me to move him up above him. I do see him maybe as a late day 2. He could maybe be an early day 3 pick, but I did have him graded as a 3rd round grade. He's really good at run support. He is an exceptional tackler with a very low missed tackles rate. He tackles very firm. He uses his length and upper body strength very well. He has very good football IQ, right? He's quick to diagnose the play. He excels more in zone coverage than man coverage. Very good at run support, which you would expect given his ability to tackle. But he also is good at filling in the gaps. He takes good angles to cut down and get to the runner or receiver with the ball to get those tackles in. So he's really good at run support, really good at preventing those yards after catch. I really like him in that area. He's not really going to be great at a tight end if you want to get him out there covering tight ends man-to-man. Definitely more of a zone guy. He has really good flexibility. He's played over 2,000 snaps at different positions along the defense at free safety, strong safety, or nickel. Decent ball production. He does well at contested catches, but he still could use some finishing to get a little bit more interceptions throughout his career. Really good special teams value. He's played a lot on special teams. Again, that's going to be very valuable. NFL draft teams like special teams production, and you're getting a guy maybe early day 3, late day 2. They really like guys who can also start and fill in on special teams, get them some playing time, acclimated to the NFL. So I really like him a lot. Again, he talks about how his inability to really be a good man cover safety. He just lacks the elite hip fluidity and change of directions. He's susceptible to the double moves, quick cuts. Like I said about his ball skills, he does do good at contested catches, but he just doesn't finish. He didn't have really good ball production in college. He's really stiff. Again, that change of direction just isn't his style. I mean, I like aggressive corners and safeties and just overall this aggressive football players in general, but he tends to get himself a little over aggressive at times, causing him to be out of position. He likes to peek inside the quarterback. He's kind of looking at the quarterback's eyes too much, kind of guessing a little bit. He has decent size and strength. I think his best fit is going to be a team that runs more cover 2, cover 4, teams that really like good tacklers and run support. That's going to be the fit for a player like a Jonas Sanker. So you're looking for teams that also like to use big nickel in sub packages. So as I do my rankings, I'm kind of going to give a little bit of teams who I think might be looking for that type of player, whether it's for a starter or a backup role. So I have a couple teams for Jonas that could fit. That's the Lions, the Browns, the Colts, the Eagles. Those are guys who are teams that I think may fit well with his style. Might be looking for him. A couple of player comps. I'm not the biggest player comp guy, but a lot of people seem to like player comps. So I have a player comp to Jonas Sinker is Elijah Hicks out of the Chicago Bears, physical tackler. I also had limitations in coverage. Amani Hooker of the Tennessee Titans. I think Jonas has a little bit higher upside than Amani, but those are my 2 player comps. Again, I like them late day for me on Jonas Sinker, and that's going to take us to my next guy up on the board, and that's a guy I really like, and that's Kevin Winston Jr. I don't have him higher on this list because of the injury concerns. He lost a lot of this season due to injury. He's tall. He's 6'2", 213 pounds. Did run a 4.51 at his pro day, which is good to see that he got out and did some stuff at his pro day. He has a really good ceiling. It just, whenever you get that injury, it's what really puts him down the board for me and not moving him up. I think if we'd have had a full season and produced like he did in 2023, he would definitely be higher on my draft board. He is an elite run defender. He is aggressive, a really good tackler. He diagnoses plays really quick. And in fact, he's one of the best tacklers in this class. So you're a team that really likes that run support. He's even better than Jonas Sinker, and Sinker was actually really good at the run support as well. Really good length, again, at that 6'2" height. He can match up really well against tight ends. He sheds blocks really efficiently. Really smart, good high motor, not overly aggressive, unlike some of the other guys. He doesn't get himself too far out of position. Really good at covering screens. Again, he's also played some special teams, which is another added value to NFL teams. He was a captain in high school, and he offers versatility. He's played cover 3, played cover 4. He's played in the box at Penn State. So he's really good at dropping into those shallow zones. He does struggle a little bit with man coverage. Again, he's going to be more of a zone covering safety in the NFL. Doesn't have really good hip fluidity. His high hip tightness in his hips. His transitions aren't the greatest. Again, that partially torn ACL in early in the season does cause some concern. Anytime you get a player coming off that injury, it's going to be ready for the season. Is it going to be a lost year? Just anytime you have the injury concern, it definitely moves you down draft boards. How many teams will look at his medical and have him on the draft board? That stuff we'll find out as we get into the draft. Limited ball production. Again, he's only had 1 interception in 2023, so he's not really a ball hawking turnover guy. He's more of a run stuffing safety, can excel in zone coverage. He's not an overly great athlete, but he's really, really experienced. Could use to improve his footwork, but he is a guy that, again, another zone cover 2, cover 3 is where I see him more of a box safety, where he can use his length and his instinct to kind of get in there and disrupt his run. Again, another big nickel guy that you can use out there. A lot of teams are using a lot of zone anyway. Most of the NFL runs zone. A lot of teams are running 5 defensive backs most of the time anyway. So players like this are of value. A couple team fits I had listed down are the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles, and the Arizona Cardinals. And a player comp for Kevin Winston Jr., I like Jamal Adams. Again, it's kind of similar. A physical downhill elite run defense safety in his prime. Or John Johnson of the Rams and Browns. He was another guy I comped him to, but more towards the Jamal Adams type of safety. And that brings me up to my next guy on the list here. We're rocking and rolling today, hitting up with my number 5 safety in this draft. And that is one of my absolute favorites. And that is Malachi Moore, the safety out of Alabama. This is a guy I just don't understand why all the draft people out there, they don't really talk about him. You see, whether it's PFF or some of the other mock draft simulators, they have him as a late day 3 safety. And I honestly just don't understand this. I know he's not super tall. He's 5'11", 197 pounds. He's not overly athletic at running a 4.57 at his pro day. But this guy, man, I love Malachi Moore. When you just do a little bit of research on him, watch some film, I think he can be a really good safety in the NFL. Now, I'm not looking for a guy here who I see as a high ceiling player, but I think he offers a high floor. He's super smart, right? He does really well at recognition and route anticipation pre-snap. He can work well in zone coverage. He's played at free safety, strong safety, nickel. Again, it's another one of those guys that offers versatility. Now, unlike the guys behind him, he has had a really good ball hawking career, right? With 7 career interceptions, he gets his hand on the ball. He's really good at tracking at the catch point. And unlike Sanker, he's really good at finishing at the end of the play and actually creating that turnover. Again, another player who's done well, having over 500 snaps on special teams. He's kind of a team captain type guy. He's a leader. I understand. Man, Malachi Moore is one of my favorite guys in this draft, right? He's a high-level competitor. He anticipates very well. He's a guy that I really, really like him. I almost had him as a second-round grade. I put him as an early third-round grade on him. He does lack the size that you're looking for, and a lot of teams are looking for at that 5'11". Strength is kind of a concern with him. He has a tendency to disengage from blockers too often. He's a little bit more of an ankle biter tackler, so he's not as strong a tackler as the 2 guys I have behind him. He's not going to be your guy who is going to do well at all in man coverage, much better at zone. So you're looking at, again, another cover 2, cover 3 type corner so that you can maximize his range, play him at a deep safety, use his ball hawking skills. Really probably a nickel dime type guy. So I see him maybe not as a full-time starter in the NFL. He could develop into that. But if you're looking for a good rotational piece with a low floor, that's Malachi Moore. I like the Steelers, the Ravens, the Jets, the Bears, and the Lions as good potential fits. Player comps I had for him were Micah Hyde out of Buffalo. Both were smart, reliable. They both excel in zone coverage. Or Sean Murphy Bunting from the Cardinals. Also similar play styles. So one of my absolute favorites. He's one of my guys who I would pound the table for. One of my gems of this draft, and that's Malachi Moore out of the University of Alabama. Next up, we got another kind of smaller guy. This guy's thin. Andrew Makuba, the safety out of Texas at 5'11", 186 pounds. He's a little faster than some of the other guys behind him in the class, much thinner at 4.45 is what he ran at the combine. So Andrew Makuba is out of the University of Texas. And he, again, another guy with ball skills, right? So ball skills, he had 17 career pass breakups. He's excellent at tracking the ball. He has really good anticipation. He doesn't peak too early when looking at the quarterback, but he's really good at reading the quarterback and understanding when the wide receiver is making his break and does a good job at breaking for the ball. He has really good instincts before and after the snap, really good football IQ. He diagnoses plays really, really quick. He is the most athletic of the guys I've talked about. Really good hips. He bursts, breaks really well. He's really good speed. Again, another natural fit for zone. I think maybe he could do a little bit better at the guys behind him on this list at man coverage. He has played again, and when he played at Clemson and at Texas, a lot of versatility again, slot, deep, box. All 4 of these guys I've already mentioned, all the guys mentioned already. Versatility is a key talking point with all of them. And high production, 212 tackles throughout his career. Now, here's where Andrew is going to have some issues, right? And I know see a lot of people out there and the draft nicks out there maybe have Andrew a little bit farther down in the draft boards. He is thin, and normally it's not something I really like. In my players are those thin frames, especially in wide receivers. So when I get to my wide receiver rankings, you'll see guys who are those thin framed guys, really skinny. Same at corner, not really high on those type of guys. He's very lean. He does struggle to disengage from blocks, has a difficulty handling those physical receivers, but he does have the ability to follow along with the receiver. But his change of direction is not as well as you would hope. He's not ideal for man coverage, but I think of the guys behind him that I mentioned, he might be the best at attempting to try to become a better man coverage safety. Now, here's the difference between the guys behind him. Those guys were really good at run support. Makuba is going to be your ball hawking safety. And I have a really strong player comp to him, to maybe a Kirby Joseph type player who's going to be that ball hawking safety, more athletic than Kirby Joseph, but maybe seeing some of the same sort of interception totals in his career. Again, another safety who is much better at zone, cover 2, cover 3, control the deep part of the field, go use his high IQ, get those balls, get that production, turn over the ball, use his vision. Again, same cover 2, cover 3. Team fits schematically, or maybe teams that need players like him: the Broncos, Ravens, Bucks, Cleveland Browns, Carolina. I already talked a little bit about my player comp, or maybe a Jesse Bates the third from Atlanta, Andre Cisco as well. So I like Makuba. I understand his thin frame could be a liability for Andrew, but one of those guys who run support, a lot of teams like that as well. He's not your run support guy, but I do like him a lot in terms of being able to be a ball hawking safety. So we're getting up there in our top 3. But before we get to our top 3, if you do me a favor, again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. Again, like, subscribe, and share this channel. I know everyone out there hates when podcasters do that, but it does help. We really need your support. And the best way you can support us, besides just watching us, is liking the channel, liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with all your friends. But before we get to the top 3, I wanted to give you guys just a few guys who just missed the cut. So if you're watching late day 2, or you get into day 3 of the NFL draft and you're sitting at home, or maybe you're scrolling through ESPN or PFF or anywhere, and you're looking to see what your team is drafted, I have some guys who in day 3 you might want to look at or just get familiar with their names, not in any particular order, but just some guys I liked. Billy Bowman just missed the cut. He's kind of a ball hawking safety, an absolute terrible tackler. That is not his strength at all. He's out of the University of Oklahoma. Hunter Warler out of the University of Wisconsin, really athletic, tall. Luther Ransom, really good, maybe tight end coverage safety out of the University of Ohio State. And another guy who I've really come to like right here at the end, an absolute athlete, and that's Dante Trader Jr. out of the University of Maryland. He's a guy that might be one of the better man-to-man potential safeties in this class. Really good athlete. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. Those are my guys that I kind of listed and thought that I like on day 3, have some potential, special teams ability. So if you're watching day 3 of the NFL draft, those are my guys in this year's NFL draft at the safety position to just kind of keep an eye out and remember their names on day 3. So that takes me to the top 3 safeties in this year's class. And my number 3 safety is Xavier Watts, the safety out of Notre Dame, 6 foot, 205 pounds. He ran a 4.58 40 at his pro day. Obviously not as athletic as Makuba, but his strength, again, he does have elite ball hawking skills with 13 interceptions over the past 2 seasons. Really good at reading the quarterback's eyes, recognizing and diagnosing those routes, using his leverage. Xavier used to be a wide receiver, and it shows up the way he plays safety. He's a quick processor, really good pre-snap. He could really be good as a robber safety, using him in zone coverage. Another quality, just like a lot of these safeties in this year's draft, versatility. Had lined up at the high safety, box safety, nickel over half of his college career, multiple snaps. That was, like I just said, his receiving prowess does show up on film. He is a very physical tackler. So unlike Makuba, we now got a guy just like the first few here in Sanker and Malachi Moore and those who are really good tacklers. Xavier does, the ability to be a really good tackler with elite ball hawking skills. He has one of the highest PFF tackling grades out there. 165 tackles over his career, 13 interceptions, 13 pass breakups over his 2 seasons as a starter at the University of Notre Dame. Really like him a lot. I think he can be a floor of a starting NFL safety, but he could develop into much more than that if he can also use his ability to be that ball hawking safety. Now, the problem is he's not a really good athlete. He's not a guy that you're going to want to be covering man-to-man. He does struggle to recover if he does misdiagnoses the play, which is really important for him to diagnose that play earlier. He's not going to be a guy you're going to want to put out there on those tight ends who are coming out in line, or maybe those tight ends who are running out of the slot. That's not going to be his thing. Even though he shows an ability to be a physical tackler, at times he can be a little bit too over aggressive, right? He doesn't do a great job at backfilling those gaps. His coverage awareness could be better in zone, but he does a good job, obviously, at tracking the ball and getting the interceptions, right? He does lose track of crossing routes. That's a weakness of him. And that over aggressiveness. I like aggressive players, but on the flip side, being over aggressive can have you miss assignments, miss your gaps, lose control of the angles, and maybe just being a little bit more disciplined, get some coaching in there to be more disciplined, and he can kind of help solve some of those issues. Then that will help him become a much better safety and help him reach the potential of maybe just beyond a functional starter to an above average or good quality starter. Get another corner suited for cover 2, cover 3 to use his ball hawking ability, get out deep, make big plays. He can thrive kind of like a Xavier McKinney type, using him in different roles. Potential team fits for Xavier Watts, the Ravens. Again, I mentioned having him kind of like a Xavier McKinney role, maybe Kirby Joseph, another style of player, just a better than Makuba at the Kirby Joseph comp, but another player who can be kind of a ball hawking safety, cause those turnovers, and change the direction of a game by being a guy who can get interceptions and causing turnovers. That takes me to my number 2 safety in this draft, and that's Nick Emanwari, the safety, athletic freak out of the University of South Carolina, and tall, 6'3", 220 pounds. He ran a blistering 4.3840 at the combine. He is one of the gems of the process, the pre-draft process. You saw him fly up draft boards. I have mocked him in the first round. I do have a second round grade on him. I don't have a first round grade on him. He is an elite athlete, explosive with true good side to side range. He is nasty in run support, really good tackling radius. And he is really good at run support. That physical demeanor will do him well in engaging in run defense. He utilizes his size well, really good tackler. He also has some ball hawking ability to him. He's had 6 career interceptions, including 2 pick sixes last season. He's a good mental processor with good instincts in zone coverage. He is effective at reading the quarterback's eyes, and another one of these versatile guys who's played in multiple different roles. Now, he's a guy here I could see line up maybe at linebacker, get him to cover as a big nickel in the slot. Try him in man coverage because he does display that elite athleticism. The problem is he hasn't shown that ability necessarily in college, right? He has really tight hips. For his athleticism, it's surprising that he isn't affected against the faster receivers in man coverage due to his stiff hips. He can be overly aggressive. He's had a lot of penalties. Again, the problem with those MAs, those missed assignments, that's something that we don't like to see. When coaches are really, really hate it when you miss your assignments, don't fill those gaps. Surprisingly, for his speed, he hasn't had the greatest coverage range in college. He really needs to do a better job at backpedaling. And then Emanwari plays with a really, really high pad level, affects his leverage, tackling effectiveness, something he can improve on. I really struggle with him. He's a really good athlete. Where is he going to fit at the NFL level? Does he run more of a cover 4, a cover 1? Do you use him as a slot guy? He's big. I kind of get burnt with guys like that who have that versatility in the past. So that's why I don't have him as my number 1 safety in this class. I just think he's going to have to learn the NFL game, and teams are going to have to find a specific role for him to thrive. I had potential fits, maybe the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Bengals, the Seattle Seahawks. I see him as a more athletic Cameron Curl or a taller Nick Cross. A true second-round grade on Nick Emanwari. He could get drafted higher than that because teams really like that athletic ability. So I could see that happening with a guy like Nick Emanwari. But I did have him behind my number one guy who I absolutely love, and that is Malachi Starks. The safety out of Georgia is my number one safety in this year's draft, a true first-round grade. He is 6'1", 197 pounds, ran a 4.5 40 at the combine. He is athletic, decent speed, decent burst. He's not quite the athlete that Nick Emanwari is. He is super smart. He has really good awareness. He, again, another safety. You can use him at 2 high, single high. You want to play him in the box. You want to play him in the slot. I think he's a guy who you can use as a chess piece all around your defense, adapting to different schemes. Really good ball skills, 6 interceptions, 17 pass deflections in his career. A really good, reliable tackler. I really like Malachi Starks a lot. There is a reason why he is one of the best safeties in this NFL draft. A guy who I think could go in the top 15 of the NFL draft. Really good body control, large catch radius. He also has had some usage as a punt returner in college. Not sure that will translate or teams will use him as a punt returner in the NFL draft. He's known as a really good leader. Coaches have had some really strong things to off the field and on the field about being a really good leader. Again, another one of these safeties that's going to thrive better in zone coverage. Does struggle against the faster receivers. Not really sharp in his redirections. Tend to has a delay in his plant and drive. Hip fluidity. He's not elite athlete, but he's a good athlete, right? Kind of tends to drift a little bit in zone coverage. Needs to be more consistent in his gap discipline. That's one of the weaknesses of Malachi, but I really see a player who is going to be a really good starter at the NFL level, could develop into quite possibly a Pro Bowl type versatile safety, cover 3, cover 2 type player, using him all over the field. I kind of see him as like a Keith Byard, Xavier McKinney, probably botched that name there, but Xavier McKinney style of corner safety in the NFL. Really like Malachi Starks. I think he has the potential again to be a Pro Bowl type safety. Really, really like him. If your team takes him in the first round, I think you're getting a really good player. I've mock drafted him many times to the Miami Dolphins. They have some stop gaps at the safety position, but I think Miami would be a really, really good fit for Malachi Starks. So that takes us to the end. We have rated all of my top safeties. And our recap here, number 7 was Jonas Sanker out of the University of Virginia. Kevin Winston, the safety out of Penn State. Malachi Moore, the safety out of the University of Alabama. Andrew Makuba out of Texas. Xavier Watts, the safety out of Notre Dame. Nick Emanwari, the safety out of South Carolina. And Malachi Starks is my number 1 safety in the NFL draft. Don't forget about those day 3 guys that I mentioned earlier as well. Looking forward to the draft. We're getting down there. We're getting a couple weeks away from the NFL draft. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video, and looking forward to my next rankings in this year's NFL draft. Have a great night, everyone.
The Draft Beard Podcast.